John Cass, Lauren Cohn, 89 WLS. We're joined now by the money and politics columnist for the American Enterprise Institute, the famous Jimmy P., James Pethokoukis. Hello, Jim.
How you doing?
Jim, I was listening to other people, and I was looking at some of the stuff you were writing yesterday. If the government only spent more and more and more like Obama wants, wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that help us out?
Well, at least for a while, it would certainly make some of the economic statistics look better. And I mean, if that's our goal, like, yesterday we had this GDP report, and a big reason why it was negative is because government spending was down. So the GDP number was down. But last time I checked, I thought the reason we had an economy was to raise real growth, productivity, jobs, income. That's why we have an economy. We don't have an economy to make the statistics look better. And I think what you're saying is right. Some people are saying, "Oh, look at the government spending; it hurt the GDP." Well, it hurt the number, but I care more about the real economy. And actually, the real economy was actually up last quarter, though I will add, not nearly the way it should be.
So how do we fix this? How do we get people back to work?
Well, what I would like to see done is have government policy that's focused on both reducing the risk of a collapse, of a financial crisis. Then you do that both through financial reform and cutting the debt, but also pro-growth policies, some of which are taxes. That's a big part of it, but I think sometimes we focus too much on the tax part of it, but also getting more immigration, high-skill immigration, improving our education system, all the sort of boring policies that really sort of matter in the long run far more than the sort of, a temporary tax cut here or there. These sorts of big long-term policies are which we really need to improve our long-term growth potential.
But if we can't get our spending under control, Jim, and we keep printing more money to cover it, and my savings go poof, I don't know. Is that a good thing for our economy?
Well, and this is what I find alarming, is that to me, looking at the size of the national debt, looking at the size of the annual budget deficit, all right, looking at those two numbers, then looking at going forward to the path we're on, which is a path to calamity, that rather than Washington becoming more worried about the debt, they're becoming less worried.
Right.
It's really going the other direction. And I think maybe both parties, but for sure I know that's true among the Democrats, who have been arguing for a while that the debt, to the extent it's a problem, is a long-term problem. Now many Democrats are arguing it's not even a long-term problem either, which I find astounding. And if I held long-term U.S. bonds, I would find it particularly astounding and worrying.
But what about the people who are sitting at home? When I read this morning that 40% of Illinois residents lack the sufficient savings to cover 3 months if something were to happen. And I know that everybody's sort of excited the stock market's doing well because our 401ks are up, but we're sort of, we're drinking out of this punch bowl as the government spends $85 billion a month to spur the economy, and that's going to go away at some point. So if I'm sitting at home and I'm looking at my balance sheet, and then I'm looking at the government's sort of positive spin on what's happening in the job market, what am I to think?
I would be outraged, and I think, and this is another big concern of mine, is that we've begun to lower our expectations about what the U.S. economy can do and what our lives should be like, and how good tomorrow can be. That expectation has begun to lower.
That's a great point.
So when people see yesterday's economic report and think, well, it's not so bad. No, I think it is bad. I think the current level of unemployment is really bad. I think the lack of wage growth is really bad, and people should not be satisfied at all and demand more and demand stronger economic growth, and don't accept this sort of really this new normal, this is as good as it can get sort of mentality.
But I guess if we demand more, who are we demanding it of, Jim? I'm a citizen who doesn't really read the economic news. I read a lot of sports. I'm just talking, I'm picking someone, okay, who doesn't watch politics. I want things to be better. Who do they go to improve the economy? They go to what they call the government, right, or their congressman or something, and they seek that person to do something. What could they do?
Well, I'll say that I think it is important, all right, that even there are politicians I think are pretty good, and there are ones I think are pretty bad.
Yeah, we got a lot of them here in Illinois, Jim.
You know, I'm from Chicago, so it's very difficult to me to say any politicians are good. But it certainly, and this is the Illinois part of me, I certainly don't trust any of them. I think people really need to double check certainly anything a politician says and independently check it. But what they need is to push government to do more of the things it should be doing. And listen, I think the government should do more of some things. I might like to see more infrastructure. I might like to see more spending on basic research, but it needs to do less on the things it shouldn't be doing. America is not dramatically undertaxed.
Underregulated?
It's not. I mean, we forgot about regulations. Exactly. I mean, all these regulations cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and no one even knows about them. They just kind of happen in the middle of the night, and Congress doesn't have a say. All that stuff it's death by 1,000 cuts for the U.S. economy, and that's why, again, 2013. Did you like 2010? Did you like 2011? Did you like 2012? Well, guess what? 2013 is going to look a lot like those years.
It's going to get worse. But speaking of cuts, I got to cut you off. I'm sorry, my friend. The clock is my friend. We got to go to a break. John,
thanks so much, though.
Lauren Cohn, Jim Pethokoukis. Thank you, buddy.
Good stuff.
89 WLS.